I don't take that serious, man. They're trying to kill me my whole life, bro. I ain't gonna see something. You gotta show me for real.
People are saying that he was trying to be the next King Von.
Lil Jeff's death is still shaking the internet, and now his killer is sending a cold message straight toward Jeff's affiliates. The tension around his name hasn't slowed down for a second, and the way this story keeps unfolding has people glued to every new detail. He's not planning to make anything easy for them. After the man responsible for Lil Jeff went online and exposed what he claims were Jeff's final words, his rivals vowed to take him out, and that's when everything jumped to a new level of chaos. More drama, more bodies, and more unanswered questions. People are starting to look at this whole situation and realize how much Jeff and King Von had in common. The deeper the story goes, the more the streets start whispering about how their paths lined up in eerie ways. The more you hear, the more unbelievable it sounds, and that's exactly why this needs to be broken down. When it comes to Lil Jeff's last moments, one thing is clear: Trap City Rob has shown the world he moves like someone who truly fears nothing. Anyone bold enough to unload a full clip at someone as fierce as Lil Jeff Ison, tease somebody you casually cross.
You don't be getting death threats. That's why I would ask. If you ain't even get a chance to even ask.
I don't take that serious, man. They're trying to kill me my whole life, bro. I ain't gonna see something. You gotta show me for real.
And the paperwork can say he was hit 19 times in the chest area.
He was shot 19
times. And that's how I think they grabbed Rob for the murder, because it's overkill. It ain't self-defense 19 times.
And now that Jeff's circle is out here dealing with the pain and searching for who to blame, Trap City Rob is already firing back with a message. He says people have been trying to end him his whole life, and not one of them has managed to catch him slipping. Trap City Rob isn't just talking. He's lived through things that would shake most people. And June 8th, 2024 became the perfect example of how tough it'll be for anyone looking to run up on him. The footage from that day changed everything and showed why his opposition struggles to corner him. By the early hours of June 9th, Chicago woke up to devastating news. An unidentified male had been shot and killed on June 8th, and soon after, Spot News confirmed it was Chicago rapper Bloodhound Lil Jeff.
They got his own, look, I was on they got a group called Trap City Gang.
Right.
That's the group, just the group.
Right.
Gang, and his picture's on there, and then they got, look, it say 1,000, the members in there, it say 1,738 nephews.
It didn't take long before CCTV footage leaked onto the internet, turning a tragic moment into a viral spectacle. The timeline of what happened was unbelievable. Surveillance from the 6,600 block of South Rhodes Avenue showed a crew gathered near a house, cars parked all around. Among them were Lil Jeff's people, the ones in the black car. The figure in all black, another wearing red later identified as Q50, and one in a white hoodie. While they were set up outside, a man in yellow shorts tried to get into a car, and that's when Lil Jeff spotted him. The black car door swings open. It's Jeff stepping out. Without hesitation, he charges after the man in the yellow shorts, moving fast until his body disappears behind a large pillar blocking the camera view.
I just feel like they bogus, man. Whoever started that, man, please stop doing stuff like that. Like, for real, this is like real life, though, you know? So, it's not no video game. It's not no movie, you know what I'm saying? It's reality.
They say his dad from down here? Big J or some shit like that?
Everybody
Big Jeff?
from around here. Anybody you got
So his daddy is from down here?
Yeah. Motherfuckers used to hang with them. They know what they did.
So, okay.
They know what they did.
So, okay, the Bloodhounds, y'all was cool.
everybody that got a
That was my homie.
But the moment Jeff took off running, his homies didn't follow him. They suddenly shifted their focus to a gray car and started letting shots off. Managed to get one hit on the man in yellow shorts, aiming at his chest. But before he could go any further, two more individuals popped out of an alley and fired back immediately. Jeff's body was knocked straight back toward the porch, and as he lay on the pavement, the shooters finished the job with no hesitation. Reports say they emptied an entire magazine from above, making sure he couldn't get back up. Q50 and the other shooter tried to return fire, but by then, everything had already gone too far. There was nothing left to do. His crew ran back to their car, peeled off, and left Jeff behind in a pool of blood as the footage cut out. The entire scene ended coldly, and the reality of what happened hit viewers hard as the scanner audio faded.
He stole the chain, bro. We tried like he took it. He stole my own chain.
Who was that South J or something?
Nah, brother. One of the other guys. This one, the weather J, he come back like he got into a high speed with 12. crying, saying he lost it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how much people broke their list. You know what?
Reports confirm that a victim hit with 15 shots was rushed to the hospital by his own crew, and the CCTV footage captured every second of Lil Jeff's people dragging their homie off the porch where he had just been torn up by gunfire. The scenes showed desperation, panic, and loyalty, all colliding in one brutal moment. Despite everything they tried, Lil Jeff was pronounced dead the moment they arrived at the hospital. By the time authorities pulled up, the entire block looked like a battlefield, with 58 shell casings scattered everywhere, marking just how intense that shootout really was. Meanwhile, the man in the yellow shorts, also injured, showed up at the hospital with his own crew, holding a wound to his chest. Unlike Lil Jeff, he survived, and that survivor turned out to be none other than Trap City Rob. He literally went toe-to-toe with death and still walked away breathing.
I don't paint no beside two real with a in the middle, man. Y'all don't do that, man. Don't fuck up our legacy. So right here, y'all. Two guys.
If I see Juke, if I see Gotti, if I see Migo, or if I see Youngster, I'ma get on this shit. Ain't got nothing to do with nobody else, bro. Nigga don't know that Juke put a hit out, bro. Don't know this shit. Hey, man, look, bro. My Juke put a $40,000 hit on you, bro.
But survival didn't mean freedom. Rob was immediately picked up by the police. According to Trench's News, he was arrested because firing at Lil Jeff 19 times, while Jeff was already down, couldn't be labeled as self-defense. Out. Authorities viewed it as what some call an overkill, something far beyond protecting himself. Soon after, reports started surfacing on Reddit claiming Trap City Rob's charges had been downgraded from first-degree murder to a simple gun charge. This stunned people online because it completely flipped the direction most expected this case to go. Another Reddit post claimed that Rob S.'s arrest happened because a witness put him at the scene when Lil Jeff died. But after Chicago PD dug deeper, they reportedly couldn't prove he was the actual shooter. So the murder charge vanished and was replaced with a lesser firearm charge.
He did an interview with DJU where he was talking about, the rumor that he had 10 bodies and stuff like that. And, people were saying that he was trying to be the next King.
A leaked photo of Trap City Rob hit Reddit shortly after, showing him looking healthy, calm, and even confident. His growing fan base felt relieved seeing him doing well, especially since he now has a subreddit called Trady UNC Gang, where more than 2,500 members call themselves nephews and follow his every update. Even if the Redditor got a few small pieces wrong, they were spotting about a lot of the key parts, especially how this whole situation originally kicked off. The roots of this war go deeper than most people realize. According to that post, the beef between Trady and the Bloodhounds began when Lil Jeff stole Trady Carter's chain, and this part is absolutely accurate. Trady Rob himself explained how things spiraled, saying Lil Jeff used to be cool with them before everything went sideways. But everything changed the day Lil Jeff took that chain, stole it, and never gave it back. According to Trady Rob, one of his affiliates let Jeff wear the chain briefly, but Jeff didn't return it and claimed he lost it after getting into an altercation with the police. That single chain became the spark that lit a war, one that would eventually cause a tragic domino effect and take the lives of dozens of young people across Chicago. Even after Lil Jeff was laid to rest, his people continued moving for him, refusing to let the situation die down.
When you looked at King Von getting killed, how did you feel? Considering the animosity between you guys up to that point.
Like my real first action.
Yeah.
Thought I was happy.
You're happy.
I was happy.
One of the first to get caught up in this retaliation wave was Trap City Carter. The moment Jeff's affiliates started plotting a get back, it became clear that someone on Trady's side was going to be targeted next, even though Jeff had been the one who initially chased trouble. Either way, they were already preparing for a violent response, and the streets felt that energy before it even happened. They were out for blood, and it didn't take long before they locked on to the next name on their list: Trady Carter. On October 20th, 2024, Chicago news outlets broke the story that another man had lost his life after shots echoed through the Oakland neighborhood the night before, marking another deadly chapter in this escalating war. When the smoke cleared, a man was left bleeding out on the pavement, fighting for his life as seconds slipped away. It happened around 8:41 p.m. on South Ellis Avenue, a block that had seen more than enough violence over the years. Witnesses later told investigators that two men walked straight up to their target, guns already drawn, and fired without hesitation. The victim, a grown man in his early 30s, didn't have a real chance to defend himself. Within moments, the shooters had jumped into a white vehicle and vanished into the darkness like ghosts. Paramedics rushed in fast, transporting him to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but he had already lost too much blood from multiple wounds to the chest.
So, man, when you listen to the lyrics, he make killing somebody sound appealing and fascinating.
Despite the doctors pushing hard to save him, he was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Later, the medical examiner confirmed what the streets had already started whispering. The victim was Chevelle Carter, and Lil Jeff's affiliates were quick to celebrate the moment online, just like Jeff once did, posting cryptic messages that hinted the killing was clear retaliation. They wanted the world to know they had just removed one of their biggest enemies. Q51 of Lil Jeff's closest associates hit Instagram with a post showing 3 blunts and a bold message, hinting that he was finished sliding because he had avenged his homies. He wrote, "Little scum and Little G booling feet kicked up. Now I can get rich. I love and miss y'all." He doubled down in the caption with "P.S. It ain't over," and he meant every word, because the fallout from Lil Jeff's death was far from slowing down. Things were about to spiral even further, and the city would feel the impact again just days later this time. An innocent person paid the ultimate price as the war spilled into a moment meant for healing.
So they were standing out there, and this block was full of people. And the story that I'm hearing was a car pulled up and asked for Duck. Like, yo, Duck out here? And everybody looking like, who is you? They didn't recognize who was in the car.
The shit will start happening. Y'all know this by now. I went black for like a week, and poof.
So where you were?
Gotta go. After that one, poof. Came back, poof. Long live them, though.
On November 2nd, what was supposed to be Trap City Carter's final send-off turned into a heartbreaking scene in Chicago. Reports confirmed that a woman was shot and killed while participating in the funeral procession for her brother in the south suburban Dixmoor area. She came to honor her family, to grieve, to remember, but instead, tragedy found her too. At exactly 12:01 p.m., Dixmoor police responded to a crash at 147th Street and Sealy Avenue, where a white Jaguar SUV had smashed into a house. But the crash itself wasn't the true horror. Officers discovered the driver, a 34-year-old woman, slumped over with multiple gunshot wounds. She had been driving in the procession, leaving St. Mark's Church in Harvey, when bullets tore through the air. The same streets meant to carry her brother's final journey became the place her own life was taken. Paramedics rushed her to UChicago Medicine and Gauls Memorial Hospital in Harvey, fighting desperately to keep her alive, but her injuries were simply too severe. She was pronounced dead soon after arrival. Authorities later identified her as Romesh Turner of Calumet, Park Trady Carter's sister. Her death proved that this war wasn't stopping at targets or rivals anymore. It was spilling into families, into grief, into moments that should have been peaceful. For Lil Jeff's affiliates, there was no line they wouldn't cross while trying to get revenge for their homie. Whether it meant shooting up a funeral or targeting an innocent family member of someone who had already passed. This level of street retaliation in Chicago showed the war had reached a disturbing new low. But the wildest part is another crew in a different part of the country had already done something almost identical. They went after an ops brother at a funeral too. On January 13th, 2024, Memphis saw a shooting that felt like a mirror image of Chicago's chaos, and the victim was someone the whole city recognized. Big Juke, known for his heavy role in helping run his brother Yo Gotti's label. Collective music group CMG had pulled up to a funeral at Pyrean S Restaurant and Event Center on the 6300 block of Winchester Road. Just hours before the service began, he posted a chilling caption. "They don't want to face you. They want to snake you. Stay alert too. Stay alive. Watch your back at all times. Put snakes on the plate and eat great." That message hit even harder once people realized how accurate it turned out to be. Juke and his family had come together to honor his uncle, Eric, someone the streets knew well. Eric Bone was a major figure in Memphis during the 1980s, a well-known cocaine kingpin and the head of the Bone family. When he passed on December 31st, 2024 at age 63, his funeral brought out relatives, friends, and people who respected his legacy. But while everyone was focused on saying goodbye, danger was lurking just steps away. Once outside in the parking lot, shots suddenly exploded through the air. And when the noise stopped, Big Juke was on the ground, bleeding heavily as chaos erupted around him. He had been critically hit, and authorities immediately launched a manhunt for whoever carried out the ambush. The Memphis Police Department asked the public for help, hoping someone saw something. Their prayers were answered the very next day when witnesses stepped forward with major information. One witness reported that the suspects were driving a white SUV, specifically a white Ford Explorer with black wheels and dark-tinted windows. Surveillance footage backed up that description, giving police a huge lead. But there was more. People inside the funeral said they had spotted two suspicious men sitting in the back of the church during the service. Those men reportedly watched Big Juke closely before leaving earlier than everyone else, suggesting they might have been tracking him from the start. Even more heartbreaking is what was inside the vehicle. Big Juke fell and his mother was sitting in the back seat when the attack happened. Whoever wanted Juke gone made it clear they didn't care who else might get hurt in the process. Their goal was simple: take him out completely. This raised a huge question: who would dare go after Yo Gotti's own brother? The internet wasted no time digging, connecting dots, and putting together possible motives. And the theory that started forming pointed straight back to a major tragedy the rap world still hasn't forgotten. All signs suggested the motive might be tied to the death of Yo Gotti's longtime rival, Young Dolph. Juke had openly dissed Dolph, especially after Dolph passed in 2021. He even hopped on Instagram expressing disgust over a mural honoring Dolph, a painting that featured NLE Choppa, Moneybagg Yo, and Young Dolph together. Big Juke didn't hold back his feelings, and that public disrespect only fueled speculation about what came next. Two guys were being looked at. But what really shook people were the allegations claiming Big Juke had put a $40,000 bounty on Young Dolph's head. The story went that he approached his right-hand man to start lining up hitters who could carry out the job, and that rumor alone had the whole city buzzing because it added a darker layer to everything happening around him. And just like Yo Gotti's brother found out the hard way, Lil Jeff's ops and even their families weren't safe either, because his affiliates were still out here handling business with zero hesitation. They moved like a crew determined to keep Jeff's name alive through fear and retaliation. They were committed to sliding for Jeff, because while he was alive, he made sure every rival crew respected the Bloodhounds. He built that reputation through pure aggression. He did it so effectively that people began comparing him to one of the most feared drill figures Chicago has ever seen, Lil Jeff, the new King Von. Lil Jeff had been moving so unpredictably and so aggressively that the streets started saying he reminded them of King Von. And if you know anything about Von's reputation in Chicago, you understand how intense that comparison really is. Getting mentioned next to him meant people viewed Jeff as someone operating on a chilling level of violence. Von was so notorious that some described him as rap's first serial killer. His rivals, like King Eula, even said they felt he wasn't human because of how relentless he was. And when Von was killed in Atlanta, some of his rivals, including FBG Young, openly celebrated, showing just how deeply the hatred ran. What made Von truly feared was the way he spoke about violence. He made it sound thrilling, almost magnetic, which pulled listeners deeper into the darker side of drill culture. And shockingly, Lil Jeff was starting to follow the same path, releasing tracks about hunting rivals, trolling deceased enemies, and even targeting women involved in street life. Even more wild, both Jeff and Von were killed in nearly identical ambush-style situations. And even after being laid to rest, both ended up connected to new allegations tied to violence. It's eerie how their stories mirrored each other. When it came to making violent music, Von was unmatched. He dissed fallen rivals constantly, and when FBG Duck was shot on August 4, 2021, Von released GTA just a month later using the track to mock Duck's passing. Von rapped, he made a diss, and now he a ghost, and it happened fast. We need to toast it. Turns out FBG Duck was targeted because he had dissed Teravon's best friend in the Exposing Me remix. In that track, Duck rapped, T-Roy ain't get shot inside his head, but he ain't make it though. They got so many deads I don't know who to smoke. That bar alone pushed the tension way past the breaking point. Duck's murder was captured by CCTV and the footage was chilling. A black car pulled up in front of a store. Armed men jumped out and unleashed a barrage of gunfire as Duck tried desperately to escape. Once they finished the attack, they hopped back into the black car, while a gray Chrysler, also involved, sped off. Another angle later showed that same gray Chrysler pulling straight into OBlock with a police car chasing behind it, sending the internet into a frenzy. And Vaughn didn't stop at Ducky, even mocked Duck's brother, FBG Brick, who was also shot in Chicago. On pressing, Vaughn rapped, "I mean a switch. I can shoot a brick, and they still say I hit." They hit him, they caught that brick and hit him in it. On July 17, 2017, FBG Brick and his cousin Kobe Mack were in the Woodlawn neighborhood when a car pulled up, searching for FBG Duck, but leaving once they realized he wasn't there. Hours later, the situation exploded into violence once again. Around 2:50 p.m., more shots erupted through the block. Police arrived at the 6300 block of South St. Lawrence to a brutal scene. Kobe Mack lying in front of a home with a gunshot wound to the head, while FBG Brick was found in the back gangway with gunshot wounds to his back and arms. The neighborhood fell into silence as word spread about what had happened. Lil Jeff also made a reputation for detailing his rivals' deaths in his music. In one of his tracks, Lil Jeff raps, "When I speak, it's only facts." He was screaming "aw" when he got hit. It just walked in lids for 2 hats, really stepping on blood. Know how it'd get bounced out with 4 sticks. 2 S got hit. He wasn't shy about describing the things he claimed happened in the streets. Jeff was referring to one of the most infamous situations tied to his Name Man event, where 2 rivals, Lil Rob and Monty, lost their lives. It happened on Friday, January 26, 2024. At exactly 12:30 p.m., when 2 cars sped toward the Washington train station, just steps from Innovations High School in downtown Chicago. The moment the vehicles stopped, masked gunmen jumped out with weapons drawn and immediately opened fire. Their targets were Claire Monty and Lil Raband. The shooters didn't miss a single shot. After the ambush, the gunmen got back into the vehicles and sped away, leaving Monty and Lil Rob gravely wounded on the ground. Emergency responders rushed in, but by the time they reached Northwestern Memorial Hospital, both men grown adults in their early 20s were pronounced dead on arrival. A witness high above on the train platform recorded the aftermath, capturing the disturbing image of 2 young adults fading away. That clip later went viral, shocking viewers everywhere. In the footage, one of the victims' last groans could be heard, a detail Lil Jeff used as the title for his track. But he didn't stop there. Continued mocking their deaths across social media every chance he got, turning tragedy into taunting posts that fueled the already rising tension. But this wasn't the only chilling similarity between King Von and Lil Jeff. Both men were rumored to have taken the lives of female gang members, Von with Key, and Lil Jeff with a 25-year-old woman known as D. Their reputations drew even more attention because of these allegations. The situation unfolded on November 1st, 2023, just after midnight. Lil Deuce and D Money were sitting inside a parked vehicle on the 8300 block of South Dorchester Avenue, unaware that danger was approaching. What started as a calm night quickly turned into a deadly ambush. According to eyewitness accounts, 2 individuals crept toward the vehicle, moving quietly through the darkness until they were right beside it. Before the victims could react, the shooters opened fire, unleashing a barrage of bullets into the car before fleeing the scene on foot, disappearing into the shadows. It was a coordinated hit, carried out with chilling precision. Lil Deuce was struck multiple times in the chest, and paramedics rushed him to the University of Chicago Medical Center. But there was nothing they could do. He was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. D Money, who suffered a gunshot wound to the torso, was also transported to the same hospital, fighting desperately to survive. Sadly, her injuries were too severe, and she passed away shortly afterward, adding another devastating chapter to a war already overflowing with loss. Lil Jeff became everyone's #1 suspect. And because he loved online attention, he simply couldn't stop himself from stirring things up even more. As soon as the news surfaced, he jumped on social media, posting cryptic messages that many people took as a straight-up confession. He dropped hat emoji symbols often used to hint at a rising body count, and one of those hats looked like it represented a woman. Many believed that hat symbol pointed toward D-Money. D-Money had a deep reputation in the streets, and according to online chatter, she was known as a fierce shooter for her crew.
Oh, yes.
In one popular photo, she posed with FBG Wookie, one of the most recognizable names in Chicago drill, a man who at one point was considered one of King Von's main rivals. King Von himself had been tied to the death of one of Wookie's close associates, Chiraq Barnzan, an adult woman in her early 20s, who was known throughout
Ow.
Chicago for her reputation as a feared female street figure, allegedly connected to multiple shootings. Even with her name carrying weight, that reputation couldn't protect her forever. On April 11, 2014, Key was walking with her brother FBG Butta and another friend on the 6400 block of South Eberhart, when everything changed in seconds. A hooded gunman stepped out from the shadows, raised a handgun, and opened fire without hesitation. KI was struck multiple times, bullets hitting her mouth, neck, and chest. In a final attempt to get away, she tried to run, but her body gave in, and she collapsed on a neighbor's doorstep. Paramedics rushed her to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, but the damage was too severe. Her life slipped away not long after. Her brother and the friend she was with also suffered gunshot wounds, but investigators quickly realized the intended target had been Key. For years afterward, the question haunted Chicago who was responsible for her death. Police initially arrested King Von after multiple eyewitnesses identified him as the shooter. But without enough solid evidence, the case fell apart and Von walked out free. It wasn't until years later, after Von himself was killed in Atlanta in 2020, that the truth finally surfaced. Official reports confirmed what many on the streets had whispered for years. King Von had indeed been the one who carried out the shooting. The police files describe the killer in chilling detail. A man in a gray hoodie and blue jeans who approached the group, opened fire, and then fled in a waiting getaway car. The entire ambush was cold, calculated, and fast, just like many of the stories tied to Von's name. But what shocked the streets even more was that Lil Jeff ended up in a similar position after his own death. Chicago police later connected him to the murders of Monty and Lil Rob, identifying him as one of the 3 shooters responsible for the attack. Investigators pieced everything together using social media posts, phone records, auto theft reports, and hours of surveillance footage. All those clues pointed straight at Jeff as one of the participants in the deadly hit. If he had survived his own ambush, he could have been facing the same charges as 22-year-old Tommy Coleman, another identified shooter. Coleman is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, aggravated discharge of a firearm toward an occupied vehicle, possession of a firearm as a felon, and failure to register as a gun offender. The case laid out by prosecutors shows just how close Jeff came to being arrested himself, showing how deeply he was involved in a violent street cycle that only grew darker with every passing day. Another striking similarity between these 2 street figures was the way their lives ended. We already saw how Lil Jeff got taken out while sliding on his rivals. But what most people forget is that King Von met his fate in almost the exact same fashion. Von was deep in the streets, and when he was killed on November 6, 2020, he was moving with the same high-risk energy Jeff carried. That night, Von had just left Opium nightclub after celebrating the release of his first album, Welcome to OBlock, and headed toward the Monaco Hookah Lounge, where his rivals Quando and Lil Tim happened to be. As Von prepared to get out of his car, one of his homies told him he had just spotted Quando Rondo in the parking lot. Von didn't hesitate. He jumped out instantly and charged straight toward Quando's direction. Quando, unaware of what was coming, was walking toward the club when Von rushed him. Out of nowhere, Von swung first, knocking him down as a few of Von's guys followed close behind, joining the attack while Quando struggled to protect himself. Then the moment that changed everything happened. Lil Tim stepped out from behind their vehicle, holding a weapon, and immediately opened fire. Shots ripped through the chaos as people ran for cover, and Von was struck in the torso. The scene erupted into pure panic as bullets echoed across the parking lot. 2 off-duty officers nearby fired their weapons as well, hitting Lil Tim in the process. When the gunfire stopped, Von's crew raced to him, lifting him into a vehicle before speeding toward the nearest hospital. Lil Tim, injured but alive, climbed back into his car with Quando and also rushed to a hospital. In a tragic twist, Both groups ended up at the same hospital, but thankfully no further violence took place inside. Doctors rushed to save Vaughn, but after a long fight and surgery he passed away, sending shockwaves through Chicago, Atlanta, and the entire drill community. Despite all the parallels between Vaughn and Lil Jeff the music, the street reputations, the retaliation, the rumors they were both heading toward only to possible endings, jail or a coffin. They lived fast, moved boldly, and carried reputations that pushed them deeper into danger with every step they took. FBG Boda said it best when he summed up their entire lifestyle in one sentence: King Vons don't last long in the streets. It was a harsh truth that echoed through both their stories.